Last time on the WizardCast.
Hey, Brian, where's that disaster plan? Oh, jeezy Pete's, Brian.
Yes, Mark?
Why is there a bear on a bicycle?
Oh, pay no attention to the bear. He won't hurt you, probably.
Hey, no. Okay, sure. Nothing stranger than what I'm used to around here. So I was just checking in on if you had that disaster plan.
That's a no can do there, Mark. Can't say the D word and the B word?
You mean disaster plan?
See, I'm busy, Mark. I got other work to do, and I really don't want to work on the D to the P, so I trained a bear to sit up here in my office on a bicycle and roar and honk at anyone who brings it up.
This is an impressive level of avoidance.
Thank you. Thank you.
What are you feeding it?
Feeding?
What in the hell? God! Oh, no, not the face! Not the face!
Help me.
And now the conclusion of the WizardCast.
I'm Brian Kwong.
And I'm Mark Ross.
We're Salesforce experts that love talking about technology and Salesforce.
We also love humor. Doesn't mean we're actually good at it.
In the Salesforce community, I'm known as the Salesforce Wizard, likely due to me wearing a wizard hat at Salesforce events.
And I'm known as Salesforce Yoda for pretty much the same reason.
You should see the ears.
We have a passion to help educate and entertain people.
So we've joined forces to create WizardCast.
We've got tips and best practices.
We talk with interesting people.
All mixed with quote-unquote jokes and humor.
Welcome to the WizardCast.
So, how you doing there, buddy?
What do you mean how I'm doing? A bear nearly took my arm off. Thank goodness I had some newspaper to give it.
Newspaper?
Yeah. Bad news bears?
Oh, no, Brian, no, I'm sorry. That was barely a joke.
What are you talking about? That was possibly the best bear joke I've ever made.
Not exactly koala-y, though.
I'm offended, sir. You have impugned on the honor of my forebears. I shan't let you ruin my family's good name. I shall see you buried. I place a curse of pandemonium upon your house.
Okay, this is just getting tedious.
Oh yay, on this day, the 6th of August, the year 2019, we welcome Andrea Tarrell of the House Sercante, first of her name, the unburnt queen of the Andos, and the first man, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, breaker of chains, and the mother of dragons, founder of Sercante, and the spot for Pardot to the WizardCast.
Thank you for that warm welcome. I did not think you were going to use that intro.
I kind of want
Why
to
wouldn't we?
We need, like, bells.
Yeah, bell.
On that.
Sort of. No, that's one of the best intros that's ever been written for us.
Because she did most of it.
Yeah.
because I Googled it.
I put a little prefix and a little thing on the end, and that's it. Andrea, welcome to the WizardCast. And you and I, we've been internet friends for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. And you're the spot for Pardot. That's the blog that you have, and I know I've gone there numerous times to try to solve problems, typically caused by myself. So you make great content. If people are already Pardot customers, that's definitely a blog you should check out. But since you're here to talk about Pardot, I think we should probably start with what is Pardot. And keep in mind, episode 53, we had Chris Zulu here talking Marketing Cloud.
Chris Zulu.
So if you talk to Chris Zulo, he will tell you that Pardot is a part of the Marketing Cloud. I strongly disagree with that. It's its own thing.
Ooh.
And
fighting words.
Yeah, spicy.
Yeah, Chris tries to fight me on a regular basis. But if I had to define what Pardot is in like one little elevator pitch, it would be a platform that helps you get the right message to the right people at the right time for considered purchases. So not just B2B marketing, but any purchase that you have to think long and hard about and possibly talk to a sales rep before pulling the trigger on.
Okay, but how is that different from Marketing Cloud?
So Marketing Cloud is incredibly powerful. So ExactTarget, the email platform that drives Marketing Cloud, powers some of the world's largest brands. So when you're getting emails every 20 minutes from Banana Republic, that is Marketing Cloud. But where Pardot kind of stands apart is if there's any kind of concept of a lead and salespeople needing to have one-to-one buyer interactions, that's where Pardot is a whole league of its own. So Pardot is really great at getting individual actions into Salesforce in a way that reps can respond to it in a useful way. So showing it on the leader contact page layout, sending alerts when people do certain types of activities, scoring activities, and showing that in list views in Salesforce, and doing things that Marketing Cloud just is not focused on.
I've heard it said that Marketing Cloud is primarily B2C and Pardot is primarily B2B. Would you say that's an accurate assessment?
That was a rule of thumb that I think Salesforce taught its AEs because it was a lot easier than subscription. But we have B2C customers that are rocking it with Pardot. So the phrase that I like to use is considered purchase. Like if you think about it and you have to come back multiple times and you have to ask somebody questions before you put down your credit card, then that's a good candidate for Pardot. So one of our customers is a yacht dealership that's based in Chicago. They sell like $1 million boats. And that's an example of something where maybe some people in the world can just like buy that sight unseen. But in most cases, they're looking to get advice. They're looking to talk to people who have experience in that area. And so Pardot's great for them because it helps them build those relationships.
Can you imagine the points you get of putting $1 million yacht on your credit card?
Yeah, it's the life. I mean, that's a lot of sky miles.
You said communication. Now, I know with Marketing Cloud, there's like SMS and you can do a bunch of other stuff. Is that the same with Pardot?
So you can integrate SMS into Engagement Studio in Pardot, but it's not part of the core product. And most of the customers that we work with, it's not one of the primary tactics that they're looking at. Some of the other components of Marketing Cloud, like Advertising Studio, you can sort of integrate with Pardot in a roundabout way by using Salesforce campaigns. So pushing Ad Studio data to a Salesforce campaign and then letting Pardot read and push information to Marketing Cloud via Salesforce campaign. You can also do that with print vendors. So there are a number of players, Print SF, Posty, and PFL, all have products where it integrates directly with the Salesforce campaign object. And so you can send a sequence of emails, ads, emails, and then do a direct mail drop. And as soon as that person gets dropped in the Salesforce campaign, it actually triggers an alert to the print fulfillment center that takes care of all the mailings from there. They actually also have a service where if you want to send handwritten notes as part of your Engagement Studio campaigns, they will literally pay someone to sit there and write a note for you.
Oh, dear.
Like not the printed ones that look like they're handwritten, but like
an actual handwritten note, hopefully with better handwriting than mine.
Yeah,
almost assuredly.
Yeah, I type for a reason. That sounds amazing, but like you said, it's not out of the box, quote unquote, functionality. What is?
I mean, I would compare it to Salesforce, where like Salesforce out of the box is like it's an amazing tool, but you have to make it fit your business if you're going to do anything fun and interesting. So, like thinking through like what are the processes that you need to support, what does success look like, what do you want the reporting to look like on the other end. Those are things that we would work through with a customer as part of the implementation process. And what I really like about Pardot is a lot of the functionality is pretty accessible. So building out an email preference center or like mapping through the lead to contact conversion process and things that Marketing Cloud is a little less, I guess, accessible is the word that I would use. Like there's a lot of power behind it in Marketing Cloud, but you have to work really hard to get what you want. And it's magical if you do it right. But with Pardot, you have to work a little bit, and it's also pretty darn awesome on the other side.
What I'm finding interesting, I mean, just about this conversation is that like you're listing off all sorts of functionality, app exchange apps, like there's a whole new world out there, and it's a magic carpet ride.
Oh wait, we can't do that. Copyright.
And
Trademarked.
I had an idea of what Pardot was, kinda. I've never actually had to support it. I had no idea any of this existed.
Well, don't feel bad, Mark, because I didn't know all that existed, and I was a Pardot customer.
Well, there you go. So in other words, you're slacking. I have ignorance as an excuse.
Yeah, Brad, I think the first time I met you was at Midwest Dreaming, and you told me you were going to leave Pardot for MailChimp, and it broke my heart.
Yeah, I was very sad, too. I really, really liked Pardot. I mean, I had things set up in our Pardot.org, so like if someone went to a certain one of our pages that kind of talked about a service, it put a tag on their prospect. So when they actually filled out a form then, it would send me an alert and say, hey, look, this person specifically went to these pages. And I had all these illustrious streams of how I was going to use it. The downside was we didn't have a lot of people come to our website and fewer people fill out forms. And from an inbound marketing standpoint, not so great. But while we still had Pardot, we had something like, we were trying anything and everything. We were buying lists and stuff like that just to experiment. And I had something like 1,500 leads at one point that I considered stale. They were so old, we had no idea what the viability is. And before I lost my Pardot subscription, I ran all of them through an engagement process and had that whittled it down based on what people did with the emails that I sent out and got 4 viable leads.
Yeah, I think, that is a good use case for Pardot if you're kind of vetting it out and trying to get started, is if there is a cold list like that, seeing what you can do with it, because if sales isn't touching it and marketing's not interested in it, then what's the harm? I would definitely suggest running it through something like Neverbounce or Kickbox to get the bad emails out. But yeah, that's a great use case.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I really, really liked Pardot. I thought it was a lot more accessible and easier to use than anything I saw from Marketing Cloud. And hopefully Chris does not listen to this episode, because I will be getting a very angry I am from him going, what do you mean it's not accessible? Give me 10 minutes of your time.
Yeah, we've had some fighting words over this.
Yeah, the Twitter rants have been amazing.
Are you going to link some of those rants in the show notes, Brian?
Oh. Yeah, if I can find some of the recent ones, I'll go find them. Yeah.
One of them he challenged me to a knife fight, so I don't know where that one's going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pardot's violent place.
You didn't know marketing people were this obsessed.
I should have known. I should have figured it out. So for people like Brian who just can't seem to handle their own Pardot very well, what piece of advice would you give them for what's the best thing you could recommend for people who have Pardot?
My biggest advice would be like just start doing things. I see a lot of people, and Brian, I doubt this was your case because you seem like a tinkerer, but I see a lot of people who buy a Pardot and then like they're scared to do anything with it. Like they feel like they need to have a master vision and like this massive plan before they start to do anything. But I'm a big fan of just launch something, learn something from it, and then move on to the next thing. So start with a cold lead drip and see what you can do. Right. Do a welcome series and see what happens. And start small and don't worry about trying to boil the ocean, because you'll get better ideas if you just start getting the ball in motion.
I know a lot of our customers are SMB, and I've been amazed at the number of people who either bought Pardot or talked about buying Pardot, and all they were really doing is saying, oh, well, I'm using something like MailChimp now or Constant Contact, and it's a Salesforce product. Salesforce is saying it's great, so we might give it a try, even though it's a bazillion times more expensive than the other options. But all they're going to do is email blast. They're going to build a list, and they're going to email out, and that's it. And while that is something, that's a horrible use of Pardot, considering how expensive it can be compared to the other email-only platforms and what it can do. But a lot of people don't have marketing people. They don't understand what inbound marketing is. They don't really know what's the best strategy. And so they get paralysis fear, basically, and they just resort to what they are comfortable, which is, I have a list of people, let's all email them all at once and see what happens.
Yeah, we definitely do see some SMBs falling into that trap where they don't have the resources or the content or the data quality to support running things in Pardot. But then on the flip side, we do also see a bunch of SMBs who, they have time and they're willing to invest in the platform. But it's like one person that's running the show. And so they're looking at how do we do more with less resources? And if they're willing to invest the time in building it out initially, it can do a lot to help scale the resources of a small, nimble team.
So I think when people hear the word marketing automation, they think emails, obviously, right? Hey, we're going to do some emails. People who maybe know a little bit more and say, hey, yeah, an email is going to get sent out, and then depending on what someone does with that email, we're going to do something else, right? So really, really basic. I send Andrea an email. She opens it, clicks on a link, so therefore 3 days later, I'm going to send her another one as a follow-up or something along those lines. I have a feeling you have much more interesting use cases of how you can use Pardot. And this is a terrible way to ask questions. This is why I'm not a good interviewer.
No, I know what you're saying. As a marketing automation platform, email is a huge component of what Pardot can do. And within Pardot, it can do field updates, send out email alerts, add and remove people from lists, add and remove people from campaigns. And that's all pretty interesting. That's kind of core marketing automation functionality. I think where stuff gets really, really interesting is when you can use Pardot to start reaching out to other platforms. So 2 things that we're huge on right now are connected campaigns and campaign influence reporting. So connecting everything that somebody does on any of your digital properties or on Pardot to Salesforce campaigns so that you can report on what was the first touch point that brought them to you, and then what was every single marketing touch point that contributed to that sale. And marketers have been talking about this attribution talk track for seriously a decade. But between Salesforce and Pardot, we actually have the tools to do that now, and it makes it a lot more easy to make data-driven and the right kinds of decisions for your business. The other platform, so going outside of the Salesforce platform a little bit, but not too terribly far, that my team is obsessed with right now is called Qualified. So it's the way I usually describe it to people is it's like a chatbot on steroids. So, you go to a website and there's a website chat. It can be automated to be like a bot. But what Qualified does is it actually integrates with a Pardot tracking cookie so that as soon as somebody interacts with your bot, it drops the Pardot cookie if they're not already cookied. If they are cookied, it recognizes them and can alert the rep that's assigned to that prospect. So that person gets a little pop-up that their person is live online. And they can go to log into Qualified and see a window of every single thing that person is doing online. So watch them scroll around, watch them click, and then jump into the chat and say hey Brian, I saw you were Googling backgrounds for Zoom. Is there anything you need help with? And interact with the person right there. And if that person interacts back and starts engaging with them, it can actually turn it into a screen share and a live voice over IP call. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it,
that is cool and scary at the same time. So don't be doing any adult searching while you're chatting with potential bots.
Yep, dangerous game. Dangerous game.
So you used the word cookie. What type is that? Is it peanut butter, chocolate chip? Well, how does that work with Pardot? That was my stupid way to ask. Hey, people don't know what cookies are. What's
Your
a cookie?
joke was so dumb, Ryan. She didn't. Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that. I was like, those all sound really good.
I would offer you one, but I just have gummy bears.
So the Pardot cookie, so any of your digital properties you can put tracking code on. And as soon as a visitor interacts with that, Pardot is going to drop a cookie on their browser device and start following them around forevermore, basically. But until that user does something to self-identify, all that is to Pardot is a device. So the ways that Pardot can like link up, like this is the website activity that I'm tracking with this is the person that's doing it, is they can either click a link in a Pardot email. They can, because you're sending it to somebody and they're clicking that link. They can fill out a form, or they can do something like interact with a qualified bot. And that kind of marries up this is John Smith that's doing this, and this is the last 10 years of activity that I've tracked on him.
Yeah, so the cookie is actually cooking the device, not the person per se, right? That was the one thing that I always felt frustrated was because I knew that people had shared computers and going around and said, hey, if they went through a website, filled out a form, but it was like the conference room computer.
Yeah, that's definitely...
They're not cooking, it's the conference room computer that's cooking.
Yeah. And I mean, the way Pardot handles that, so if it's a scenario where you know multiple people are going to be using the same device, like a trade show, or like I don't know what other scenario it'd be, like multiple people like routinely doing the same thing.
A class.
Some event signups, like if you work in an industry where people, like a secretary signs up 10 executives for things, like you could put forms in kiosk mode, which basically tells Pardot, don't associate this activity with these people. But other than that, yeah, it's kind of hard to get around that limitation if people are sharing devices. The more common scenario that we see now is people having multiple devices, like they're on their computer and then they're on their iPad and their phone, and that just gets, Pardot tries to keep up, and all marketing automation platforms try to keep up, but it's really hard to get that like total view of like, this is your customer on every single platform that they care about.
Because they would need to be cookied, and they would have to be verified on every one of those devices.
Yeah. Or we need, like, Skynet to, like, sell all of our information to Salesforce, and we can all, like, I don't know.
Einstein's watching you in the bathroom, making sure that is actually you on your mobile device.
Yeah, the Apple Watch is actually Einstein.
So all this is, like, obviously really cool and useful. My experience, granted this is slightly old, 6 to 9 months old, is that let's just say the Pardot documentation isn't the most rich and complete. What kind of resources are out there for people who are wanting to do all this stuff, to experiment and tinker, and aren't finding much help on the documentation side?
Okay, so I've been a Pardot user since 2010. And Pardot used to be like legendary for its amazing support and documentation. I hope no Salesforce. Well, this is like falls into one of those categories that I should tell you to edit it out, but I'm fine if you leave it in here.
I work for Salesforce documentation. It's okay.
Do you really?
.org. I'm on the edu side, fundraising side now.
When Pardot moved to Salesforce Standard Help and Training, their documentation went downhill. And I get that, like, it has to fit, like, a standard format, and, like, screenshots can't continuously be updated, and but it's seriously really bad. I shouldn't be saying this. You should edit this entire section.
No, Andrea, when I first became a Pardot customer, I had the exact same issue, whereas I would Google something, because that's what I do for everything first, is I Google it, I'll go see a link, oh, here's the Pardot thing, and I would get a redirect link to the Salesforce help, which was often not very helpful. What I did find helpful was they had office hours, where every week they would have office hours for anyone to come in and join. You didn't have to really pre-prep or anything, and it was a free-for-all conversation. From a support standpoint, I got a lot of benefit out of that.
I think it's perfectly fine to say, you know what, it's not very good. I think we maybe veer away from
the extreme, but I mean, saying went downhill is perfectly appropriate,
and hasn't picked up again. Like these are valid observations as far as I'm concerned.
So we'll do this. So considering, Andrea, that the documentation isn't as prime and helpful as it used to be, what resources would you recommend for someone to go to get some Pardot help?
Yeah, so shameless plug for my blog, The Spot for Pardot. Obviously trying to post resources there that we come across and things that we find ourselves having to explain to customers fairly often. The original gangster Pardot blogger is Jenna Mulvey. Her stuff is amazing. She has some really, really great resources for marketers that are trying to get up and running with Pardot. Other people that I rely on frequently, so Laura Black writes some fabulous content. Jacqueline Fassett. Mike Cruiser on my team is, I call him the par god of the API because he's probably the leading person doing interesting things with the Pardot API. And he just started a YouTube series called In the Weeds, where he literally walks around in the weeds in rural Kentucky.
I like him already.
And talks about technical Pardot problems. Which
That's
is
amazing.
those are
That's
the
all-
things that I rely on.
He's got to have so much chiggers, though. That's got to be a real problem.
I know. Every time I see them, I'm like, I need to get you some bug spray.
And if you're from a part of the country that doesn't know what chiggers are, Google
No,
it.
don't Google it. You do not want to do that. It is awful.
Well, don't image search it. Yeah.
Chiggers versus great white sharks. The chiggers win every time.
That would be a battle.
That should be your next title, Mother of Chiggers.
Mother of chiggers.
So title only a mother could love.
I think maybe Master Chiggers would be better, right? So,
That sounds like a Metallica song.
well, something to connotate that she has control over them versus she was the one that brought them forth into the world.
The masses.
You're like Ant-Man, except for chiggers.
Oh,
I'm not going to put that on my LinkedIn profile.
that is. Oh, we went way downhill. What is with our interviews these days? We're just.
What happens when you get me involved?
Oh, I have a fun question for you. Okay, and I'm betting you know this one. We've been saying Pardot all this time, right?
Oh, no.
Why is it Pardot versus Pardot or some other pronunciation?
So, the founders of Pardot, Adam Blitzer and David Cummings, when they were starting the business, they were in their early 20s, didn't have a lot of money, had a short period of time to come up with a name, and wanted a domain that was cheap. So they put the word marketing and selling into Google Translate or whatever the translation equivalent was at the time. And so Pardot means selling in Latvian. There's no connection to Latvia whatsoever, but yeah, there you go. So if you search Pardot on Twitter, you'll find a very small geeky group of marketing automation professionals and a bunch of normal Latvian people just chatting about selling things.
That's okay.
And now you know.
That's random.
That isn't.
Yeah, and I love how you knew that, like, right away.
Andrew knows everything about Pardot, I swear.
Apparently.
Well, I had enough people like correct me and tell me that it was Pardot that I was like, all right, I need to get the story straight.
People were telling me, no, it's
Ooh.
French. I'm like, no, it's not French.
Like if it was like a wine, like I would drink that.
I just find it funny considering usually in America, people will see something spelled like that and they're going to pronounce the T. They're not going to make the assumption that the T is silent. So why there's a whole bunch of people that are saying Pardot versus Pardot, I find hilarious.
The sheer amount of arguments I've had with people over whether it's depot or depot. This shouldn't exist, and yet it does.
That should not
Well,
exist.
that's because you're talking about two different things, Mark. One is a place where trucks and buses and everything kind of stop and go and take off, and the other one is where you get your marijuana.
Yeah, we're going to cut that out.
That's perfectly legit depending on what state you're in.
You're Wisconsin, Brian.
I am. I'm surrounded by people who have it legalized. Oh, that's right. It's legal in Illinois, and that's where I'm going tomorrow. This might be an interesting trip.
Midwest streaming.
Are you going to be there?
I'll be there too.
Well,
yeah.
What the hell are we doing this? We could have done this live.
No.
I'm not there.
Not like you matter.
My slide deck isn't done. Confession.
You're not alone with
Yeah.
last minute.
Yeah, I used to be the kind of person that would always like really, really aggressively prepare for presentations and things like that because I'm not like a naturally good public speaker, and so like practicing a lot like makes me feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But since starting Sercante, there seriously just like aren't enough minutes in the day, and so it's like, all right, I got 30 minutes to crank this out. Like,
That's
let's
what
go.
minions are for.
Yeah, I need to get some of those.
To make someone make your presentation and
Or do
practice
some of the
speaking
other
for
work
you.
so she has time to do the presentation. Delegate.
No, that would be
Delegate.
silly.
Well, you're working in marketing. Why
Yeah.
don't you get some automation, Andrea?
Oh.
We're trying, man. We're trying. The demand in the Pardot ecosystem right now is absurd.
It's crazy.
We just hired employee number 24.
Wow.
We have 2 more that are starting at the end of the month, and 1 more that's starting in September that is a secret. But you'll find out in September who she is.
Is it a me?
Really
Oh, she said she. I guess not. Oh, there goes that resume. Back to Indeed. I am so stupid. We should not be doing these at this time of night.
And yet here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
The need in Pardot is crazy. It's almost it's in some cases I think it's almost higher than Salesforce needs. I look at when people come to me and ask me to implement Pardot, considering I've done it once, my own implementation. There's a need out there.
Yeah, it's honestly ridiculous. And if I were speculating as to why that is, I mean, marketing automation as a category has been around since like 2008. And I would say like peaked at like 2013 in terms of like a lot of companies adopting it. But I think with Pardot in particular, like it was acquired right at that time in 2013 by Salesforce. And there was always kind of this uncertainty of like, are they going to turn it into Marketing Cloud? Are they going to change the name? Are they going to keep supporting it? And Salesforce didn't really do anything to convey certainty with that. But in the last 18 months, they've doubled their sales team and have invested a ton in product development, like more in the last 18 months than I saw in the like 8 years prior, like combined. So they're definitely sending some really strong signals that they're serious about B2B marketing. And so now the customer base is picking up and is getting really excited about it, but the consultant market just has not kept up.
What I find interesting is from a implementation standpoint, and this is coming from a guy who I have a PR degree. I mean, that was I did public relations and communications in college, right? So it's marketing adjacent. So I know enough to be dangerous and stupid. When I look at,
I can attest to that.
When I looked at Pardot and I had my hands on it, I thought that the technical implementation of Pardot was immensely easy to figure out and to do. I mean, even compared to like Salesforce, so much vastly easier. Where I found the challenge was once you have your site set up for cookies, once you have, all your prospects hooked up to your leads and contacts and all your custom fields, and you've decided which one's the master, and you start putting lists in and all that wonderful stuff, is figuring what to do after you're done with your technical implementation, the actual strategy and the tactile things of marketing. That's where I think, at least I found the most challenging, and I found the greatest void of trying to find people available to help with that. Who didn't want to do something like, we'll charge you $30,000 for this huge marketing picture and vision. And like, no, seriously, I'm just trying to sell this one product, this one service right now. Let's just focus on that. I don't need the whole company. I just need this part done.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you have access to Salesforce and you know your way around Salesforce, you can stand up Pardot in like
a week,
less than an afternoon.
Yeah, I'll give you a week because you figure you have to work with IT to put the cookies on the website.
Yeah, let the DNS refresh. It'll take 24 hours, and then like boom, you're done. But yeah, it's like what you do with it afterwards that is kind of where it gets interesting. And it's sort of the same thing with Salesforce. I mean, the technical setup can't be done in an afternoon, but like it takes a lot to get it off the ground initially, and like commitment to like using it consistently and everybody on the team paying attention and buying in. And but yeah, that's definitely a thing. My Midwest streaming presentation last year was called You Bought Pardot, So Now What?
I missed it. I was sad. What are you presenting on this year?
So the title is called, if they don't kick me out for not having my presentation ready, is Worlds Collide, How Pardot and Salesforce Automation Work Better Together. So it's talking about what use cases are a good fit to automate on the Pardot side and what we need Salesforce to augment Pardot's capabilities for.
It's cool. Too bad we didn't do this interview 2 weeks ago, so we could have promoted this in time before Midwest Streaming.
Yeah, maybe it would have inspired me to do my slides so I could talk about them, and we'd all be in a better place.
If only.
Who are we kidding? That would never have happened.
Next year.
What is your favorite or wildest or most crazy use case you've done or seen with Pardot?
Ooh. So one of my customers, Serious Insight, they make a inbox integration with Gmail and Outlook and Salesforce. They built a really cool engagement studio program with us, where they're feeding app usage data from Amplitude back into Salesforce. So they define these thresholds that they call magic numbers, where if somebody logs like 10 emails and adds 5 meetings and uses flight plans 3 times, they're pretty much going to adopt that feature for good. And so using Amplitude, they're measuring how people are progressing towards those benchmarks. And so the Engagement Studio program that we built for them is intended to increase feature adoption. So starting with like the easiest thing, like adding emails, looking at who hasn't hit that threshold yet, sending them a series of communications, and then moving on to kind of like the second threshold. If they've met it, bypassing that step. And if they haven't, sending them communications on that. So it's a very like choose your own adventure style thing that's designed to increase feature adoption.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that they were using Pardot.
They Pardot very well. Long-term Pardot customers.
I'm never going to be able to look at one of their emails the same now. I'm going to go, what the heck did I just do to trigger that?
Yep.
I'm going to be paranoid as I work. Thanks for that.
Although it's powered by Serious Insight, Sercante, and Pardot.
Now they're going to know what websites you go to, Brian.
We've actually run a ton of really fun campaigns for them. Last year for Dreamforce, they did a bunch of marketing around unicorns. Their mascot is a unicorn. And yeah, we did all kinds of unicorn GIFs, some really edgy subject lines, and it was one of the most fun campaigns we've ever built. Keeps it interesting. There aren't a ton of clients out there, especially in B2B, that will let you like put sparkling unicorns on things. So when you find them, like
they're the fun ones.
You gotta treat them right.
You grab that company and you hang on.
Yes.
You never let go.
They also built a really cool thing also for Dreamforce that was like Salesforce trivia, where there was a Pardot email and like a series of buttons for the answer choices, and then one Pardot landing page that showed content dynamically based on what answer you put. So like if it was correct, showing you a correct message. If it was wrong, giving you like a customized wrong answer message for the same thing or whatever.
Oh, that's very clever.
Yeah, it was really, really slick. Ali Capitelli on my team built it, and she is a car goddess. I'm trying to think what other cool things we've made lately. We've built recruiting programs. So we work with a trucking company in North Carolina who their biggest challenge right now is recruiting truck drivers. So rolled out a series of ad campaigns for them, Facebook campaigns, and they're also building lists of students from trucking schools and basically just doing like employer marketing, like pictures of their employees, stories of like how they treat their drivers. And because there's not a lot of their competition isn't doing anything like that, they're seeing some pretty good results with it.
Very cool.
That's all I got. I'm sure we're doing other cool things, but...
All right, Mark. Tag, it's your turn to ask a question.
If you had the opportunity to ask Parker Harris any one question, what would it be?
What a cop-out question, Mark.
I don't know, to be honest. I've heard you ask this question to other people, and I should have been prepared for this question.
Yes, you should. We could switch it up. We could say, if you could ask the founder of Pardot any one question, what would it be?
I would say, will you please promise me that you won't change the name? I actually have said that to him, and he didn't affirm or deny.
It may not be in his control.
Because he doesn't have any control over it. Yeah.
It just means that if Salesforce does change the name of the Pardot and lets the all the domains and everything lapse, you can just snap them right up and start something else.
Yeah. I don't know what my second business would be, but something that has to do with...
Something to do with sales and... I can't even say it. Lithuania?
Something that has to do with the holes on a golf course. Pardots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they called divots?
I meant the holes, like the holes that you hit the balls into.
So right now, our team's biggest marketing challenge is we want to do something fun for Dreamforce. And so we're trying to come up with a theme that's a play on Pardot. So far, or a play on Sercante. Do you guys want to hear what we have so far?
Sure.
I was thinking more of some sort of golf Department of Transportation mix-up.
Pardot. All right, here's what we got. Mad Men, but that's just a cop-out because it's just generic marketing. Cirque du Soleil for Sercante. Accurate.
Yeah.
You know,
That might be a little dangerous to pull off at the booth, though.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to have a booth. We're just going to have a badass party.
Still, that might be worse.
With sky dancers.
My favorite theme right now is Pardot, like pirate themed.
Arr. That would be something to do on September 19th.
Wait, why September 19th?
Talk like a pirate day.
Oh, is it? I thought, isn't that Mark Benioff's birthday?
Is it?
Is it? Oh, now I have to
Someone's
look
got to
it up.
Google that.
Yep, I'm on it.
Birthday. No, it's September 25th. Close.
So close, yet so far.
Arr.
You know what's funny? This is the same birthday as David Benioff,
Interesting.
the guy who's the producer,
Of Game of
screenwriter
Thrones?
on Game of Thrones.
They're related, so, you know.
Yeah, they're related. Yeah, same birthday, just like 6 years different.
Makes it easier to buy cake. Says the guy who buys 2 cakes, 1 for each of my twins. I'm out of questions, Mark.
My problem with Pardot is I don't know what questions to ask.
Well, all my questions would be questions I would want to ask if I was still a Pardot customer. Is my problem. I miss Pardot. Is there anything you want to say now that you have a platform of free people to broadcast? Because I know our audience has got to be bigger than your blog that gets probably a bazillion hits every day.
It is plus or minus a bazillion if you round up.
I knew it.
I guess the only other thing I would throw out there is, so we talked a little bit about like the talent ecosystem and how crazy it is for to find Pardot admins and marketing ops people that know Pardot. The only thing that's crazier than that is finding people who know Pardot and Salesforce combined. And the more and more Pardot moves on platform, the more rare and valuable that skill set is going to continue to become. So if you're a Salesforce admin that knows anything about marketing or cares to know anything about marketing, now is a fantastic time to learn Pardot because your career and earning potential will go through the roof.
If they're at a company that doesn't have Pardot, where would they go to learn?
So there's a little bit of content on Trailhead. Pardot doesn't provision demo environments to non-customers.
Boo.
But we're working on a course called Pardot Bootcamp for Salesforce admins. So coming soon, that will be a thing.
And if people want to watch for the coming soon for the thing that will be a thing, where would they go?
If you go to thespotforpardot.com, you can either fill out, there's a little form on the side to subscribe to the blog, or there's a little qualified chatbot that will ask you some cheeky questions and also ask for your information so you can get on the mailing list.
Just be prepared for the cookies.
All the cookies.
Which ones do you use?
Cookies.
Peanut butter or chocolate chip? Raisins?
Don't even get me started on raisins.
Oh.
No, thank you.
Oatmeal?
No, thank you. Chocolate, for sure. Chocolate chip. M&M. Do you guys know what cowboy cookies are, or is that something my mom made up?
Cowboy
Sounds
cookies?
familiar. Sounds familiar.
Isn't that
Yeah, it's like,
a cookie with a whole bunch of different stuff in it?
yeah, it's just like everything that's in your pantry thrown into a cookie mix. So like chocolate chips, butterscotch, M&Ms, piece of pretzels, like whatever.
Why are they called cowboy cookies?
Because it's the wild, wild west.
I always heard it because like cowboy chilies, whatever you can get your hands on. So you heard it here first. If you want to get a chocolate chip cookie or a cowboy cookie, go over to the spot for Pardot and sign up for the cookies.
Maybe I'll build that into my bot. Like, what kind of cookie would you like today?
That couldn't possibly go wrong.
And then you need to find a bakery that does on-demand shipping of individual cookies.
Maybe I can drop the Pardot cookie, and then if they choose something else, then I can use Print SF to mail them a cookie. They actually do food mailings, like they do like caramel, stuff like that.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So yeah, brave new world. cookies online, offline, all the lines.
And
All the
always
time.
tasty. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Andrea. I appreciate what you have done for the ecosystem and for coming on to the podcast. And I really do appreciate the blog. I cannot tell you how many times your blog saved on bacon when I was trying to figure out how to do something within Pardot, as well as you kindly answering all my Twitter questions.
Well, keep them coming because, yeah, happy to help. When I started working in Pardot, seriously, the only person that was doing, like, publishing any Pardot content was Jenna Mulvey. And so I will be forever grateful to her. And would love to see more Kardashians contributing content and building out the knowledge base in the ecosystem.
So if people want to go and follow you on all the social media and other places other than going to your blog site, where should people go?
I'm pretty active on Twitter, especially for Salesforce stuff. It's just at Andrea Tarrell. Also on LinkedIn, feel free to connect with me.
And that's 2 R's, 2 L's.
I'm on Instagram, but that's mostly like vacation pics. So if you're hoping for Salesforce news, Twitter and LinkedIn are probably the place to go.
Perfect. And of course, we'll have links in the show notes on the offhand chance anyone reads them.
Anybody reads them? Yeah.
WizardCast is produced by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, directed by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, technical administration by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, script writing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, audio editing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, site maintenance by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, and our intern this episode was Andrea Tarrell, because I didn't put anyone else in there yet.
You can be an intern too. Just follow us at WizardCast_pod on Twitter.
Or you can share pictures you take with us at Salesforce events, and we'll add you to the list.
Like if you were there at Midwest Streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a joke, interview suggestion, or other comments? Let us know. You can call and leave a voice recording at 608-492-0321 or email wizardcast@thewizardnews.com.
And I know we ask this every episode, but quite seriously, if you want to ask Parker Harris a question, what would it be?
Submit your question by going to bit.ly/ParkerQuestions and fill out our short form.
And Mark, do you like ideas?
I love them, Brian.
I think everyone likes ideas, and everyone has at least one idea that they should share with us for the Idea Exchange Highlight episode.
Go to bit.ly/idea highlight to submit an idea to us.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WizardCast and receive our next episode automatically.
And please post reviews on Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes, and share this episode. It helps others to hear what you just had to endure.
Once again, I'm Brian.
And I'm Disaster Plan. Now I'm just doing this for funsies.
Thanks for listening. You know, it's really hard to work with all that noise. Unbearable. Actually, it was full bear, so it can't be unbearable.